Hello friends, welcome back. This is the fourth video of a series of mini lectures, mini lessons on musical time, rhythm, and groove. They are a prelude to a volume, a book that I'm working on musical time. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about embodying rhythm and how the different ways in which we embody rhythm can have an impact on how the music sounds. So one thing that can help being able to have a smoother groove, smoother musical time is understanding how you physically react and maintain a sort of a rhythmic language, a consistent rhythmic language. This language is going to be dictated by the style that we're playing. For example, when we're playing a basic marcha or tumbao in Afro-Cuban music, let's say this. Right there, we're playing the same rhythm all the time. But my approach to it is coming from how I am making the conga drum part of the music. So I'm not just saying to myself, I'm going to play some eighth notes or some 16th notes. Instead, I am trying to physically connect with the drum and use that cultural information that I have about the music to infuse those notes with some sort of musical meaning. So if I'm playing this, my hands, my wrists, my fingers intuitively understand, physically embody the fact that this is a pattern that is sort of like a carpet on top of which the piano is playing, the bass is keeping time, the timbales are playing the cascara, and then a singer ultimately is taking care of the melody, and the dancers are responding to the entire ensemble and creating also a musical flow with their movements. So if I understand culturally the function of these eighth notes or 16th notes on the conga drum, that's going to have an impact on how I'm physically adjusting. If I play these just as some sort of click track or metronome, it'll be something like this. Nothing really wrong with that, but to me it feels a little bit more stiff because I am just working on the subdivisions, ta 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 ta, as opposed to which is that cultural information that you want to get. One of the problems that we have in classically trained percussion approach is that we think of rhythm as this sort of universal property of music that is to be evenly applied every time you're playing any kind of music when it comes to percussion. But we know that that's not the case. If we're playing a waltz, that's going to have a different lilt than if we're playing, let's say, a march, right? So I want to demonstrate now with sticks so that you can kind of see what I mean by this embodiment of rhythm. Now, I'll give you this. It's a very interesting subject, but it's very difficult to explain. Because what we're talking about when I say the physical embodiment of rhythm, there are so many layers to that pie. You have how does the culture that the music comes from hears and feels rhythm? What is the function of the music that you're playing? Is it dance music? Is it some sort of dramatic music? Is it programmatic? Is it describing an action or a story? Is it religious? Is it liturgical music? So all of these things are going to have information that's going to determine what's going to be our physical approach. For example, if we're playing a march, you're not going to play a march like you play rock music. If I'm playing rock music, I'm doing this. See, my body's already in the pocket of the music. And you got the hi-hat going, and you got the kick, and then you're going to throw some. That's with sticks, and I'm playing a snare drum. But if I'm playing a march, then it's going to be more like. It's going to have that sort of military approach. I'll give you a couple of other examples. We're still playing 16th notes, 32nd notes, 8th notes, and quarter notes, and so on and so forth. In essence, we're not playing different rhythms, but our approach to the music changes, okay, according to the style. And how we physically produce those sounds also changes. Check this out. One of the instruments I have to play at my Broadway show, Ain't Too Proud, is the tambourine. And that show features the music of the Temptations and Motown music. So, again, 8th notes and 16th notes. But check this out. I have to do something different now with my body in order to get in the pocket of rhythm, of musical time. So, I'm trying to get this zone. It's a little bit more like kinetics, right? The motion of the tambourine, as opposed to the rhythm that the tambourine is making with the sound. But I'm concentrating on the motion. So that's what I mean by embodiment. Concentrating in a different kind of motion. This is church music, African American music, gospel. So you're getting into that zone, and that's going to help you play the rhythms. If I just look at the chart and I see 16th notes, I might get confused and think that it is the classical tambourine version of 16th notes. But because of my cultural knowledge of Motown or gospel, then I'm able to embody that music differently. Let's check out a tambourine, a classical tambourine approach. Classical tambourine, you have the head, and you play the rhythms on the head. So, what that music requires is clarity. Every note needs to speak. It doesn't require this sort of like jingly sound that you hear in other kinds of music. So my embodiment of that rhythm is going to be here. More wrists, right? Right? And I'm going to let it follow through a little bit so that I don't get the bounce. The last example I want to share with you today is playing the cowbell in a salsa band. This, again, I'm going to demonstrate how to play it and how to not play it based on how I physically relate to the instrument. In other words, my physical embodiment of the rhythm that I'm playing on the cowbell. First, I'll give you the rhythm as it exists in the vacuum, right? No cultural information. Ta 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 ta. If I play that with no inflection, this is what it would sound like. It's rhythmically correct, but it's stylistically incorrect because I am approaching it, I'm embodying this rhythm as if it was a classical snare drum technique. Da, 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 da. And it has the clarity of a snare drum part, has all of those rhythms metronomically played, but it doesn't have the nuance that the real physical embodiment of playing a cowbell part in a salsa band requires. Check it out. So, what have we learned today? We have learned that how you physically relate your technique to the rhythm that you need to perform is informed by the rules of that particular style that you're trying to play. Okay? If it's samba, it's going to have not only a rhythmic feel, but it's going to have a certain physical thing that you're going to have to do in order to get that feel. Okay? If it's salsa, the same thing. If it's West African music with djembes and all that stuff, it's going to be its own thing, different from congas. And it's two-hand drums, right? So every kind of music has its own stylistic rules. These stylistic rules are going to dictate not only how we play the rhythms in terms of durations and attacks, but it's also going to dictate what kind of sound we need to get from that music. And all of those things put together are going to require from us a certain physical approach to the music, whether it is with our wrists or fingers or arms or sometimes your whole body if you gotta play cymbals or whatever, right? So it's very important. That's one of the key things to making a piece of music sound correct. Not just correct in terms of the metronome, but correct in terms of the style, in terms of the culture, and in terms of the history that inform that kind of music. Thank you for joining me. I wish you a very, very happy 2021. We need positive vibes, right? We need all the help we can get. So let's all think positive. Let's keep grooving. Let's keep playing. Let's keep expanding. Learning never stops. Thanks for joining me, and let's keep going.